it's been so long since BSA and the Gold Star was in business that motorcycle helmets weren't a legal requirement. Smoking wasn't seen as a health hazard, and one for the road was very much still a thing. This, the BSA Gold Star, ceased production in the same year that Sean Connery came out to save the world in From Russia with Love. And in those 60 years or so, seemingly not much has changed. You've still got the same competition from Triumph and Royal Enfield. But in another way, a huge amount's changed. You know, BSA has been long gone for a long time. And here, 60 years on, can it recreate that old magic in order to be a world beater once again? Here's what I want to find out today. How does it compare to the Interceptor? How does it compare to a lesser extent the Triumph Bonneville T100, because that is in a different price bracket? What's the big single-cylinder engine like? Because single cylinders can be a little bit hit and miss. And finally, it's been 50 years since BSA produced a motorbike. Are there any obvious teething issues, or have they actually hit the ground running? Let's find out. Right, let's do a walk around of the bike, and if we start first with the silhouette and genuine shape of the bike in general, well, it could be straight out of the 50s. It stayed so true. I'm so true to the original BSA Gold Star. So many beautiful little touches. I'll start off with the general ergonomics and feel. So I'm 6'1" and around about 80 kilos. The weight initially feels very good. It's situated nice and low down, so it's very manageable immediately. There's no getting used to this at all. It's an incredibly tame bike. Riding through traffic, lane splitting, just, you know, moving from left to right. That's a nice situation of the weight, and the seat height is nice and low as well, so it's extremely unintimidating. Lean angle and general feel of the bike. Not the biggest lean angle, but that is not why you're going to buy the bike. I mean, you can feel it. I think it's 198 kilos dry, 213 kilos wet or so. So it is not a lightweight, but thanks to the weight situation, it still feels very manageable. It's 6,500 pounds. And that seems like an extremely competitive price point. It's, of course, a 650cc engine. It has 45 horsepower. What I'm going to do now is take the camera and do some close-ups of the beautiful design elements, because they're everywhere on this bike. What we have here is a bike that was designed in the UK and made in India. And from my point of view, that is a dream combo. The Brits know how to make a damn good-looking modern classic, and the Indians know how to build a very good modern classic. And the Indians' passion for motorcycles is almost unparalleled. So that is a great combination to start with. Let's begin from the front. As standard, spoked wheels with this beautifully retro-styled mudguard at the front with, I love these, two metal arms, one to the front of the tyre or the front of the wheel and one to the back. You've got single Brembo brake, none on that side, and that, I'm sure I'll be able to tell you in a little bit, is all that you need. You've got these big chunky forks here with a single headlamp, and that is not an LED, that's just a simple bulb, just with a little bit of nice design detail there, BSA. You've then got such a lovely tank colour. And the badge itself, that is a nice quality badge. It's not just painted on, that is a proper stuck on, or, you know, somehow attached on badge to the tank. I hope it can be picked up like that. Up to the top, you've got references here everywhere. I love that. To the fact that BSA, of course, stands for Birmingham Small Arms. They were originally a weapons manufacturer. And I tell you what, BSA, well, they're going to need all of that heritage, that history, because they've got a battle on their hands against the rest of the competition. It is a fierce market. The engine itself, the single, beautiful design. I mean, it's a piece of art. I love this styling here, just with the louvres in the actual engine itself, leading down to single-sided exhaust, but a lovely style exhaust, you know, no unpleasant bulges anywhere. It's very thin the whole way through. Apparently you can take out the baffle. I don't see the need. It's a lovely sounding engine just the way it is. Got the big radiator at the front. I know some people don't like it, but look, this is a bike for 2022. It needs to keep the bike cool, and I think it's a perfectly reasonable looking thing. I didn't realise that. You've got a crash pad at the bottom. I'll come around to this side. Twin shocks, of course, spoke wheel at the back. Lovely style, just perfect style. Rear mudguard, and the seat stopping a good chunk before the wheel ends, and the mudguard carrying all the way down. You can see there, trademarks. See if that focuses. Trademark, the 3 guns BSA and the word Gold Star. But everything looks beautiful, stunningly in proportion. Tank, I just love the design of the tank with the chrome here. And then when you're sitting on the bike, you've got, let's turn it on. I mean, this is completely unique. It takes a while to get used to. But again, true to the original, and I love it. You've got the speedo that goes the wrong way, 0 there all the way to 130. And you've got the rev counter, again, that goes the wrong way. Then in the middle, again, true to the classic styling, you've got the extra bits of information actually integrated into the front headlamp, which just looks superb. A few modern touches, which are very, very useful. You've got a USB and also a USB to C or something, the ones for Apples, but that is extremely practical. So a very nice place to be. It's all simple, it's all stripped back. You look at the switch gear, in fact you've even got an I button on here. You've got fuel gauge, trip A, trip B, odometer, that's it. Nothing else. You also have ABS, but no rider modes. Look, let's get it back in focus. It is a very simple bike. There's nothing here that looks, you know, kind of like mind-blowingly unbelievable quality, but everything is just so. Everything is just right. You know, none of these are of the highest quality, the switchgear, but it's all good enough. It all fits very nicely, it all looks understated, and it all works. On a day like today, the English countryside, small, tight, winding roads, blue sky, passing a farmhouse, passing a church every so often, friendly people waving as you go by. It feels like it's meant to be today. For the first day, I'm lucky enough to get to test out a BSA in the English countryside. Feels like it's meant to be here. It's the most magical experience. If we look at it in terms of outright performance and dynamism, well, that's not what the bike is designed for, but that 45 horsepower, don't let it fool you too much, because in real road situations, I was just on the motorway now, so comfortably pushed it to 90 miles an hour. I could probably have gone faster, but it's about 5 degrees today, and I probably would have lost 3 fingers due to frostbite. But it will pull from 80 miles an hour. It will pull from 80 miles an hour to 90, and Karen, I'm sure, with absolute confidence and strength. The brakes, perfectly balanced, the perfect amount of power for the level of performance in the engine. The suspension, It irons out potholes. It's beautiful on these country lanes. I can't imagine really needing any more at all. And the engine itself, the single, you're in slow-moving traffic in town and it's throbbing away, letting you know that it exists. It's characterful and it's fun, up to 30 miles an hour. But get it onto the motorway and suddenly from about 50 to 60 miles an hour, it smooths out and you don't get any unpleasant vibes through the foot pegs, for example. It's perfectly smooth. There is no reason at all, in my eyes, why I wouldn't be able to take this European touring, do long distances. It's perfectly comfortable. The overall situation of the weight is beautiful, so you always feel like you're at one with the bike. The angle of your legs to the foot pegs, the comfort of the seat, perfectly decent. Everything is just right. It's a really fantastic experience riding this. I'm loving every second. A couple of things I almost forgot to show. Number one, pillion comfort. Well, first of all, if I have a look at it, it looks like a decent sized pillion seat. I also love the fact it's a bench style, so the pillion will be sitting at the same level as the rider, which from Monica, my partner's point of view, is a big plus, as she hates sitting up higher. Oh, well, it's all day comfort. It's lovely. It almost feels, it's such a natural position as a pillion position. Feels the same as if you're in the riding position. My guess, remembering the Interceptor, this is more comfortable two up, just the overall shape of the seat, and I feel the length of the bike in general. I don't know if I'm right on this, but it just feels almost more, slightly more Bonneville-esque, slightly more stretched out with the seat than the Interceptor, which is quite short. So for pillion, maybe inclined to go for this over the Interceptor. Let me play the engine to you. Have a listen to this, even on tick over. And with a few revs. It's got a lovely sound right the way from low down. One other thing that I haven't shown, and I was shown just before I picked the bike up. There it is. I hope you can see it here. Also a cigarette, I always forget the name, a cigarette power output there. So you've got the cigarette output there if you want to charge stuff, and you've also got two different USBs on the handlebar. So it's well equipped for us here now in 2022. Okay, the competition. I had a while just thinking about what are two bikes that I can and should compare this to. The Interceptor's the obvious one. That is out and out competition. They are head to head, regardless of what one or the other may say. Yeah, saying we're not in competition. Of course they are. It's head to head. The other one I want to chuck in there is the Bonneville T100. Let me start with the Interceptor. The Interceptor is £300 cheaper than this bike. So let's look at the price first of all. Well, there's nothing here that's better than the Interceptor with regards to handling, dynamism, you know, the overall feel, the fit and finish. Nothing here is better than the Interceptor. So that £300 discrepancy, it's definitely not in the favour of the BSA, because you don't get more with the BSA. However, keep an eye on 2023, because the Interceptor may well go up in price. My guess is they're going to be fairly neck and neck, and that £300 should not persuade you either way. Performance. Interceptor has 47 horsepower, this has 45. In reality, you're not going to notice that at all. The Interceptor, interestingly, is about 11 kilos lighter than this, the BSA Gold Star. However, because the Interceptor's weight is situated noticeably higher up, it has a slight pendulum effect. So when you get on the Interceptor, for one, the seat is higher, and also that weight situated higher up means it does feel a little bit ungainly at lower speed. So if you're a shorter rider, I would be inclined to go for this, because the seat height's lower, and even though it's heavier, the weight is situated lower down, making it a more pleasant bike to ride at slower speeds. Engine-wise, I'm on the fence. This is a lovely engine, but so is the twin on the Interceptor. That's going to come down to personal preference. And to be honest, I find it very difficult to call between the Interceptor or this bike. It will come down to personal preference. There's nothing in either of them that I would say would be an absolute deal breaker or deal maker, other than possibly the engine, if you have a preference towards a parallel, a twin or a single, but it's extremely close. It may well come down to brand allegiance. Do you favour BSA or do you favour Royal Enfield? Two very, very good bikes that would give you everything you could dream of from a bike like this. And finally, if we move on to the Triumph Bonneville T100, well, this is, I think, 9,000, apologies if I'm slightly off, 9,700, 9,500 pounds or so. And that makes it £3,000 more expensive than this, and also the Interceptor. That puts it in a completely different league. So I'm going to actually leave that out. You could then look at the Kawasaki Z650 RS. Yes, a lovely bike, but that is not made as a modern classic, a modern retro from the ground up, and you can see it in the way it's been designed, the style of the frame, the engine. It is not an out-and-out modern classic. This is an out-and-out modern classic, and that, in this sector, counts to its advantage in a huge manner. Final point, Bonneville T100. Look, it's a much better bike than this. It is. It's finished to a higher standard. It's more powerful. It's more polished. But this gives you 90% of what the Bonneville gives you at a way lower price point. If you want, those cool vibes, this gives you pretty much all of it, minus a bit of that final finesse and that power from the engine. But in its pure form, this has it. The chances are, if you've got your eye on a BSA Gold Star, you've probably already got your hand on your wallet, because just the thought, just the idea of being able to go out and buy a brand new BSA Gold Star, well, it's enough to give you sleepless nights. And I know some bits of it could be finished to a higher standard, it could be more powerful, but then you'd be complaining that it's too expensive and it's not a bike for the people. This, the price point, the performance, the build quality, it's just right. For me, it's everything I dreamt it would be. It's got more than enough of the character that you'd dream the original would have had, but with just enough of the modern technology to get you through on a day-to-day basis where you can use it without any kind of concern. It's got that perfect balance. From my point of view, go out and buy with confidence, because whatever it is, this bike definitely has it. And I'll say it one more time, just to let it soak in. BSA is back.